The topic of this seminar is really bringing home the creative economy. It's talking about the creative economy within Mississippi. We have three entrepreneurs who are right in the middle of the creative economy, and then we have Malcolm White, who has come to MDA and started a creative economy division within it. So we're really focused at MDA and as a state on the creative economy, and we're going to hear from four great panelists this morning about what that means to the economy of Mississippi. In 2011, to set the stage, the Mississippi Development Authority and the Mississippi Arts Commission, in an unprecedented role or an unprecedented partnership between our respective arms for arts and economic development, unveiled a study on the creative economy in our state. This study helped us quantify the impact of the creative economy on, or creative class on Mississippi's economy. We learned, and I'm going to say this figure and let it sink in, we learned that more than 60,000 jobs are part of Mississippi's creative economy. More than 60,000 jobs are part of our creative economy. That our state is leading the nation in creative economy job growth. And today, those numbers are still true. And when I say today, I mean today, and I do mean a little bit of yesterday. I don't know how many of you all in the audience get the Wall Street Journal. This is yesterday's Wall Street Journal. This is the front page of yesterday's Wall Street Journal. At the bottom of the front page is an article. If you've got, quote unquote, time to kill, Canton, Mississippi has the tour for you. Canton, Mississippi is on the front page of the Wall Street Journal yesterday, talking about their film industry and how they've attracted those major feature films over the years, and not only have attracted them, but have held some of the remnants, have held some of those keepsakes in place so they can bring tour operators in as they come. Canton, Mississippi is a prime example of how to take advantage of the creative economy in this state. A recent article by our creative economy guru in this country, Richard Florida, in the Atlantic City, states that in the next 10 years, the nation's best jobs will be in the creative sector. That research shows that between 2012 and 2022, the United States will add 15.6 million new jobs, with the overall workforce growing by 10.8% from 145 million to 161 million. Of those new jobs, 5.6 million of them will be high-wage creative class positions, making the creative class the fastest growing group in that workforce. Additionally, research shows that the creative class jobs are actually growing faster in the southern United States than they are in other regions. This, of course, is good news for Mississippi, a place where the creative economy not only has influence on our quality of life and rich cultural legacy, but also on our state's economy. Let me share with you a few statistics from our state's tourism efforts. In fiscal year 2013, more than 2 million people visited Mississippi, spending just over $6 billion. The influx of tourists created and sustained over 115,000 jobs for Mississippians. Many of those jobs, including chefs, landscape architects, designers, musicians, museums, and gallery owners, are part of the creative economy that we're talking about today. We are currently in the midst of revisiting that creative economy data that I talked about a little bit earlier to discover not just the number of jobs that were accounted for in the creative sector, but the total payroll of those jobs and the economic impact that this sector has on the state's GDP. Before the Mississippi Arts Commission and the MDA partnered to create the Mississippi Creative Economy Study, this vocabulary was certainly not part of the economic development rhetoric, vocabulary, if you will, in the state. And today we gather at the annual meeting of our state's Chamber of Commerce to spotlight discussion on this vital economic sector. A little over a year ago, we brought in this gentleman on the right, Malcolm White, on board to MDA to lead the Mississippi Division of Tourism. And with him came a new bureau dedicated to furthering the creative economy in our state. The Bureau for the Creative Economy and Cultural Heritage works as a conduit between the arts community and traditional economic development. They connect creative entrepreneurs with the resources they need in workforce development, in business training, and in financial literacy. MDA strengthens the creative economy by educating the public, business owners, public officials, individual artists on the true economic value of the creative sector. Governor Bryant's declaration of 2014 as the year of the creative economy has helped us create an even bigger platform for showcasing our artisans, our musicians, and our entrepreneurs. We call it Mississippi Homecoming. Malcolm, not to steal any of his thunder, is going to talk a good bit about it today in his presentation. Thank you all for joining us today for a discussion of what we see, again, as an important sector of Mississippi's economy, both today and in the future. We'll hear from a great group today of panelists that will inspire us to think vividly and broadly. Throughout the discussion, I'd like you all to think about, if you've got those phones, and if you're looking down, we will forgive you a little bit, especially when you hear Brad at the beginning. He really wants you to look down and look at those apps. But please tweet at MS Creative Econ, at MS Creative Econ, to connect with one another and continue that conversation about our creative economy. With that, let's move on to our first speaker of the morning, and I will certainly and officially get out of the way of Brad. Our first speaker this morning is Brad McMullen. Brad is the founder and CEO of BFAC LLC and Texting Leader LLC. These two award-winning technology companies own or operate more than 120 websites and domains, including bfac.com, textingleader.com, buyfromachristian.com, weddingtexting.com, and collegeGarageSale.com. Today, BFAC is the #1 ranked business texting company according to Google and Bing. Media outlets around the country have featured BFAC.com, including NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, Clear Channel Radio, Raycom Media, The Radio People, and Gannett Publishing. BFAC is the #1 mobile app publisher in Mississippi and has built apps for a number of companies and organizations, including Chick-fil-A, Backyard Burger, 7-Eleven, AT&T, Ozarka Water, Pepsi, and FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Brad is the proud father of 3 and serves as a deacon at Broadmoor Baptist Church. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, our first panelist today, Brad McMullen. Brad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And oh man, it's just a pleasure and an honor to be with you today. And I can't say enough about the state of Mississippi and the positive business climate that we have. I know there are some things when you look at starting a company, or if you're a business owner and you're looking to move to a state, you say, all right, I'm looking for all of these ideal characteristics. And while the state of Mississippi may not be perfect on every one of those things, they have the leadership and the drive to get to be where no other state in this country, I mean, literally no other state in this country can be. So be very fortunate that we live in the Magnolia State that's aggressive, that is all about trying to create the best business climate possible to create jobs, and of course, think about the future and growing our company. Well, a little bit about BFAC, and I take you to the screen. First and foremost, some things about myself. I tell this to people often. I'm a saved sinner. I'm a broken man saved by the love of Jesus Christ. I say that every day. If you want to know me, know this, that I am saved by the grace and the love of Jesus. I am the father of 3, but I'm the youngest of 4. I was born and raised in Norman, Oklahoma, a diehard Sooner fan. Most of the time since I moved to the state of Mississippi in January of 2002, I never could hold my head up high when it came to SEC football because we always got killed. Every time my Sooners played an SEC team, we lost. We were 11-0 against Texas A&M until they became an SEC team, and then they killed us. Finally, we beat an SEC team in January, so go Sooners. I'm blessed to have had a time in television. For some of you that are sitting up there going, I've seen that guy before. I'm not The Bachelor, but I was on Channel 16 for many, many years. It's crazy, though, with the Bachelor show and going around the country, how people would be like, hold the rose for me. And I'm like, I'm not that guy. Marshall Ramsey, who we all love very, very much, joked. He said on the season finale of The Bachelor, they're going to find out that he's married and he has 3 boys and lives in Madison. So it's a great joke. What some people don't know is I used to be a 300-pound offensive lineman. So I'm a lot smaller than I used to be when I played football. But again, it's focus and deciding what you want to do with your life. A little bit about our company. We started, unlike most technology companies, we started in a home without a backyard or even a garage. We did not have $1 million investors, just 2 guys on our knees saying, all right, God, where do you want to take us from here? Today, as the nice introduction illustrated, we're really blessed. We're debt-free. We're the commercial technology of the company of the year for back-to-back years. We're the #1 business texting company, whether it's the National Guard that uses us in every state across this country to do communication for emergencies and also for recruiting, to Pepsi and some of the other big names out there. We get to work with them. And the mobile app business, people say, hey, how did you get into the mobile app business? What was your foresight on that? Well, the Oklahoman, which is the largest newspaper in the state of Oklahoma, and the Dallas Morning News did a nice story on us, and they said we had a mobile app. And in 2010, we didn't have a mobile app. So we did what most people, I think have done before. We went to the Google bar and we searched and said, all right, who builds mobile apps? And we found out how expensive they were and realized we couldn't afford to build a mobile app. So we built one ourselves for our company. And then some of our clients said, hey, who built the mobile app for you? And we're like, well, we did. And they said, well, will you build ours? And now we're the largest mobile app producer in the southeastern United States. That's a God thing. We've just been really, really fortunate. Hall of Fame coach Bobby Bowden, who's the winningest football coach for Division I history, is a spokesperson for our company. And again, we've been very fortunate. We have no loans, no credit cards, no debt of any kind. God taught me, laid on my heart a long time ago, if you make $2, you can't spend $3. So it's just being responsible. Again, we've been blessed with some media exposure. I want to talk a little bit about some of our team members. And we've gone all across the country to recruit some of the best people. But we're really diverse. And I say Jeff Boyd, who is our VP of Graphics Design, he didn't finish in the top 25,000 in the MEC design competition. He finished in the top 25 in the world. And he lived in Seattle, Washington. And I said, have you ever been to a place called Mississippi? And he said, I learned to count using Mississippi, but I've never been to Mississippi. So we built him a house in good old Madison and brought him here, and his family is here, and they love it. And I said this to him, and I say this to any time when we recruit people to come to our state. I was not born in the great state of Mississippi, but I will die in the great state of Mississippi. All right. We have a wonderful, wonderful state. I say this often, the national perception is way off. This state is amazing. When I was speaking at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas for the Furniture Marketing Group thing, and I was telling them where our headquarters was, they were saying, really? Is that north of New York City? And I was like, no, it's Ridgeland, Mississippi. And feel really blessed to work in a state with an environment that wants to strive and grow businesses. Michael Felder, who's our head of app development, was the communications student of the year from Mississippi College. He got 1B. We tease him all the time. You've got 1B. But, the Lord's blot, again, we got great diversity. Ricardo Junco has an interesting story. He spent 27 years in a federal prison. Not really great on your job resume. But, he went through the Salvation Army's rehabilitation program, turned his life around, has more degrees than any of us at the company, and is a tremendous asset to us. I say this all the time. I make mistakes each and every day. God forgives my mistakes. We must look past that. But you cannot teach work ethic. If people have great work ethic, they can be great employees. They can be great assets to this community. But you can't teach work ethic. Either they've got it or they don't. You can teach people to do lots of things with technology, but you can't teach work ethic. Matthew Miller, who's our head programmer, if you ever go into CVS Pharmacy to get your blood pressure taken, he actually developed the device that's in there. So pretty cool stuff. Crystal Miner, we stole her from my old employer at Hearst Television. She's our chief operations officer, does all our customer service. We are key on customer service. Robert Wilson, who is our business developer. He spent 20 years writing for the Clarion Ledger, did a lot of sports, just wrote a new book on the first black official in the SEC. It's really, really awesome. So you get an idea of some of the diversity and some of the excitement that we have with our staff. I say this, the challenge for this economy today is breaking through with new media. Think about it. Your house is different today. Your clothes most likely are different today. Your carpet or your flooring is different today, so your marketing must be different. I stand up today telling you that if I had done traditional marketing, I wouldn't be here. We started out as an e-commerce website trying to find a way to market to our clients. We had 7 million email addresses, but nobody checked their email anymore. Think about it. Last year in the United States, 94% of all of the emails that were sent were never, ever opened. Think about this room. How many of you have ignored at least 5 emails today? So we started saying, well, what do people what do they not ignore? Texting. And so that's what you have to think about. How can I use new media to grow my business? How can I have a competitive advantage over my competition? I love this. I was speaking at the Superintendent's Convention earlier this year, and the front page of the Natchez Democrat said, "Snow likely." And so I'm sitting in a room full of all the superintendents, and they're like, "Well, we think it's going to snow today." And then WDSU, the station out of New Orleans, was able to send a push notification through their app that said, "Yep, school's canceled. This is what's happening right now." It's all about instant communication. You know, I go back and I think of big stories that have happened here, you know, in our community. We had a meteorologist that was charged with horrific crimes, right? You didn't find out about it at 5 o'clock at news. You knew about it all day long through social media, through people texting and calling and telling different people about it, through push notifications, through app, and at 5 o'clock, you found out more about the news. When I started in the news business at 5 o'clock, people were like tuning on going, "I wonder what happened today." That's not the way the world works today. People know what happened today instantly when it happens. You know, that's the key component of knowing technology and how to use it. I love this picture. This is a picture of the Vatican in 2005 and the Vatican in 2013 at the exact moment that the Pope was announced. Okay, in 2005, you've got maybe 10 cell phones in the crowd of 16,000 taking a picture. In 2013, 8 years later, we could not find one single person in the crowd of 16,000 that did not have a smartphone or a tablet out taking a picture of the event. And this is a religious event. And it was like, boom, got my iPad up. This is the world today. And you've got to realize the statistics. In Mississippi, there are more cell phones than people. It's true. In the United States of America, there are 34 million more active cell phones than every man, woman, and child alive in the United States. You've got to know your audience to be able to grow your business. And of course, the important part is integrating customer service. You know, this is a huge component for us. When we were building our company, we looked at really the groundwork. Most people, they're built on business development, right? You've got to have clients before you can do anything else. Our mindset was different. If we get a customer, we want to keep them. So we literally outnumbered 11 to 1. Business development, it was customer service 11, business development 1. Because we built, if the Lord blessed you with a client, you need to do everything in your power to help them with the technology to grow their business. You know, that is crucial. Try getting a customer service rep with Google. It's very, very hard, right? Very, very hard. You know, we have a great company in this town, Bumgar, that built its name off of doing customer service for that fruit company, Apple, right? It's all about customer service. What can you do to make your customer feel important and give them the attention? And I think that is crucial. In anything you do, if you are not providing customer service, you fail. Every one of our clients get their own customer service rep. This is not outsourced. This is a full-time employee at our office here in Mississippi. You know, that is crucial for us. Strengthening a creative economy, this is really basic, but you know, simple. Use technology. Business texting allows you to talk to all of your clients. If you are a company and you have 500 clients, how fast can you talk to them all? Most people, it would take you 2 years to get a hold of those 500 decision makers. Our clients, it takes them 4.2 seconds. You know, that's the difference. Whether you're talking to 1 million people or 25 million people, you can talk to them instantly, right where they are, 24/7 on their mobile device. And mobile apps, here's the great thing about mobile apps, they're the #1 source of information on the planet today. If you have a website for your business and you don't have a mobile app, you not only have missed the boat, you've missed the marina. I mean this. Let me give you statistics from our U.S. government. People use an app 10 times more than they use a website. People use an app 3 times more than they use a mobile website. Think of it in realistic picture terms. A website is a VCR, a mobile website is a laser disc, and an app is a Blu-ray HD DVD. What do people use? Think about it. There's nobody in here with a computer. How many people have a phone with them? Everybody in the room. Statistically speaking, there are more phones in here than people. So if you're trying to reach your audience, are you going to tell people, I've got a website, and hope through 8 hours of the day they're going to go home, and then they walk in on a long day and they've got kids, wife, family, and a giant TV and a couch calling their name, they're going to go over and play on their computer? No. And Nielsen came out with some scary statistics last year that got us all. It said that people spend more time on mobile apps than they do even watching television now. And when they're at home, they spend more time on mobile apps than they do their own home computer. So again, it's be where the people are, be relevant to where they are. You think of this, you look at an example like Starbucks. 2 years ago, the CEO said, no more TV, no more print, no more radio. He sent a shockwave through the stock market. People were freaking out. Came 2 votes away from firing the guy. But guess what? He sold more coffee and made more money than in any other time in the company's history. Because he didn't go against the grain, he went with it. Because everybody that walked into a Starbucks coffee shop had only one thing in common. It wasn't their favorite sports team. It wasn't their education. It wasn't their gender. It wasn't their race. It was the fact that they all had a cell phone in their pocket. Now, you may not like technology. You may love to write things down. And ironically, I'm a writer. I love to write things down. But I also know you've got to give the people what they want. You know, if everybody in the room loves chocolate cake and you love strawberry cake, you could walk around the room and be like, you need to try the strawberry cake, it's phenomenal. Or you can give them chocolate cake and you win. You know, that's the key right now of this economy, is realizing where are people. They are on their mobile device. They are moving around 24/7. Again, mobile apps, the explosion. Now, this is what our company does differently. We have a technology called a geofence push notification. Now, we took what we do with texting and we made it relevant to the app. And what I mean by this is we have the ability, when somebody downloads an app, to communicate with them based upon their geofence location. Now, last week we launched something, it's a first of its kind, which is an automated geofence push notification. And the way that works, think of an election day. If I'm a political candidate and I have an app, when I drive by the polling location, the candidate can send me a message asking me to vote. It's pretty cool. Or even better yet, if I walk into Best Buy, Cowboy Maloney can send me a coupon that says, here's a $30 gift card that expires in 25 minutes. It's pretty awesome. This technology is based right here in the great state of Mississippi. And it's amazing. And I mean this, Fortune 500 to Fortune 200 companies, Cenex, are lining up to get this. And now businesses in this state can drop a peg on every high school stadium in the state and wish the home team good luck from that business. And they can do it in seconds. They can drop a peg. The Oklahoma City Thunder, we work with Mickey Mantle's family, and they own steakhouses across the country. They drop a peg on the Oklahoma City Thunder's home games, and they say, hey, after the game tonight, come to Mickey Mantle's Steakhouse. And the only people that get that message are the people that are at the Thunder game. The technology is live and relevant. You can go down to the neighborhood, you can go down to the house, or we can talk to just the people in this room via a push notification. It's pretty cool. Amazing technology, and that's being 2014 in 2014. Of course, you know, I say this encouraging others, equipping others with mobile technology. They do not have to understand it to benefit from it. Can anybody change a transmission on a car? I can't, but I drive one. I can't even change the oil, but I drive one. You don't have to understand it or even be able to operate on it to benefit from it. Small businesses, big businesses, nonprofits, politics, it doesn't matter what you are. If you are where the people are, you can be successful. And I say this, the most important thing, if you do not change with the times to grow your business, you are on a fast track to one thing, bankruptcy. I had a chance to sit down with Truett Cathy, who's the CEO of Chick-fil-A, and he told me in his office in 2010, when they reevaluated their marketing in 1993, they were 4th in chicken sales. And everyone looked around the room and said, how could we ever beat KFC? Some people said, we have to cheapen our product. We've got to go cheap. Wendy's introduced this 99-cent menu with Dave Thomas, and everybody likes spending just $1 on stuff. He goes, nope, that's not the key. We need to localize our business. We need to be ingrained in those communities, and we'll win. Now today, Chick-fil-A is #1, and they're not the cheapest. Matter of fact, McDonald's has a 99-cent chicken sandwich. Wendy's has a 99-cent chicken sandwich. Chick-fil-A costs you $3.70. Where do you guys want to go eat? Exactly. It's creating value, understanding the economy and the way things are. 15 years ago, if you went to Nashville, you'd say, I want to go eat at Outback. Now, if you go to Nashville, you're like, all right, where's the local place I can eat nowhere else except for in Nashville? That's the way people are. It's local, local, local. There's a reason why Disney does not have a 1-800 number. You ever think about that? They want to be local, 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 local. And you can use technology to be local too. And looking ahead to the future, you've got to know your competition. You've got to realize, how do companies become successful? Sometimes they have to think outside the box. Sometimes they have to look for alternative roads there. Michael Dell did not have millions and millions of dollars in his pocket. He thought of a different way to get there. That's how he became successful. If you have a good idea, if you have passion in your heart, it's not an accident God put it there. But you've got to have the work ethic, you've got to have a drive, you have to have the determination to go out there and do your best. Be smart. Be very, very smart. You can work all day and accomplish nothing, or you can be smart and accomplish a lot. I say this, do your best to provide better business climate. Why would a business want to move or stay? I say that's crucial. You know, the state of Mississippi, I say there's so much about our great state. We were talking with a group from the Texas Development Authority. They're trying to move us to Austin, Texas. And I said, do you even have office space in Austin, Texas? They said, nope, but we're going to build more. I said, we do not want to stop. We want to put our foot on the pedal and continue to grow our business. We are literally trying to find the fastest growing companies and bring them to our area. And I said, that's exactly what the state of Mississippi is doing. You know, people do not realize the jewel that we have here. But you got to understand that other people are coming out to steal. They're coming out to grab. They're coming out there to take. That is the world of business. Chick-fil-A took clients from Popeyes, from churches, and from Kentucky Fried Chicken. The amount of money on average spent on chicken never changed. People didn't wake up and say, you know, I want chicken instead of steak. They took those people. Politics, you know, I love elections because the candidate won is because they took somebody else's votes. You've got to understand that. You know, people like you, they'll take you to lunch. If people believe in you, they'll give you encouragement. If they think your business can strive and succeed, they'll put their money where their mouth is. You've got to realize your climate. You've got to realize your opportunity. And most importantly, you've got to understand the competition. You've got to rise above and succeed and see it for what it is. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk with you guys today. I think Mississippi is a golden opportunity for business all around the world. And when a lot of people see, and I mean this, all of the infrastructure, all the excitement from the leadership of the state to literally empower businesses to grow, you're going to see more and more businesses start here and more businesses move here.